Hey there, it's Mike again with the Split Bus. I wanted to make another video about the external improvements that I made since I got this bus about 2 years ago. It was in fairly rough shape in that the bottom 8 inches had kind of rusted out, and the insides of the doors had basically rusted out. And I posted the full set of pictures from the restoration in the description of the channel, so there's like 3 Google photo galleries. But anyway, I wanted to say what I had done. So what I started off doing was basically taking off all the trim and all of this stuff, and including this deluxe trim and the bumpers and everything. The bumpers had a lot of rust holes in it, and this bottom area had all kinds of dents and problems. You can see here there's still a lot of bumpiness here, but it's way better than it was. And what I did is I went ahead and bought this Lincoln Electric 220 volt welder, which is a MIG welder, and I did a lot of the metal work where basically I got weld sheets of various lengths or thicknesses. And for example, in here, a lot of this under here, there was a lot of problems. One of these hinges here was messed up and loose, and especially this door would just fly open when I was driving. So I welded these things in here. This was gone. And these doors, you can see there's a lot of imperfection here. But one of the very first things that I did actually was to replace this part right here, which was rusted out. And of course, this is where the cargo door, the 2 things go in there. So I welded this in and got that so that it holds well. You can see all along here, there's this is kind of, it's kind of ugly. It's hard to know really how to fix this well. There was an old repair here that's not really welded. And then here you can see this is kind of messy, but, I would have to replace this whole support in order to fix that. So I hadn't done that yet, but in any case, as far as the exterior goes, I took off these bumpers. These things were completely messed up, so I replaced these, I cut out a whole bunch of holes in the bumpers, and I wet sanded down these aluminum things, and I cut new rubber. And cutting the new rubber was interesting, how you get this, I used my bench grinder basically in the sander to get this effect here, and painted these with the silver white. I did all this trim down below here as well, and I got the black inserts. You see around the back, I did these bumpers here as well, and also with the deluxe trim here. And I thought that these little grommets gave it a good look, so I did those. So I had to replace these light covers, as well as replacing the 2 on the side front here. That is these two here. And I painted this black. It was a kind of a silver. It was didn't look very good, and headlights were out of alignment, so I had to figure out how to use these screws to align them properly. So that's pretty much it. As far as painting it, I had sanded it down. I used some bondo to fill in a bunch of holes here. And once I welded it, you grind it down, and there's still some sort of pock marks and stuff. And you can see up here, for example, these pock marks here. I couldn't fix all of them. Like here, you can see some pock marks. But there were really horrendous pock marks up here. And look at that. That's sanded down with sanded down here and just some rust reformer and a little bit of bondo, and it actually looks great. So as far as paint goes, you know, after I sanded it down and did all the rust reformer and bondo and tried to make it as smooth as possible, then what I did is I used kind of a combo of these. You know, I had some primer that I used. You know, I did all this myself, so it's not all particularly top quality stuff, but as far as, you know, I didn't use my sprayer or anything. What I did is I bought this stuff is great, actually. Automotive Touch-Up. I used that as the base coat. I used various types of primer, including sandable white primer. If you use, you know, this car is Lotus White, and so if you use anything other than white primer, you really have to use a lot more base coat to get over it. So what I did is I got sandable white primer, and if there was something that was kind of a nasty thing to stick to, I would use this bonding primer. If there was anything rusty, I would use rust reformer, which is great in that it chemically prevents the rust from progressing. And then for the wheels and the bumpers, I use the silver white, which is the Wolfsburg West one. So you can see what the color differential is here. You know, Lotus White is kind of a beige color. Silver White looks like this, as well as with these wheels. So that's basically the painting of it. After I had all this off, and I went over all of these window frames. I sanded them all down, and I got new rubber, and I painted them black because I thought that the black with the black deluxe trim would look the best with these kind of slightly more rugged tires. And I like the look. It's not a stock color that this came with in '66, but I like the look, and it goes with the black there and the black interior with the wood. So, you know, I did everything kind of black with the wood. So it's simple color scheme in terms of Lotus White, Silver White, and black and wood. Let's see, what else on the exterior? These windshield washers, I did the original ones, and they leaked, and they were only single squirter, so I upgraded it to these black ones that then match my black on the exterior trim. So I really like these, and then I did them with an automatic squirter. I'll show that later when I get to the electrical stuff. But, you know, as far as this goes, you know, I painted the top. I got this rack, which is a HWE rack. I had them make this about 2 inches shorter than it normally is by design, and that's because if you look at my garage, and I made this garage door go up as high as it possibly could, this car wouldn't have fit inside my garage with the 2 extra inches of rack. The other thing that was interesting is when I was painting this, when I would paint the top, if I was too far away from the center of the top, what would happen is the paint would dry in the air and then land on it as dust, and then it would look like it was painted, but the second you wiped it, the paint dust would leave. So you have to paint while the liquid still gets on there. Yeah, so that is, let's see. Yeah, the trim, as I said, I wet sanded it and had to drive in this insert, which is really kind of a pain. I use a screwdriver most of the way around here. And then you pound these little ends here so that they hold the end. I redid this in terms of there are several little spikes that go through here. I think there's like 4, and I had to re-weld on one of the aluminum spikes so that it would go in there properly. See, made sure all the hardware worked. Oh, one of the other things that is interesting, 3 of my keys worked, but one of them didn't work. So what I had to do was I took apart the door handle, and I took out all the little double-sided cylinder, and I actually filed down 2 or 3 of those little what do you call them, the little key sliders, and made it so that the key works. So, you know, filing 2 of them down is not that great, but I couldn't figure out a better way, and I only had one of these locks not working, so now they all work. Yeah, that's a good good explanation of what I've done here on the exterior. So, what I'll do next time is I wanted to talk about something interesting that happened with my gas tank upgrade from the 10 to 15 gallons. I just had all kinds of weird things happen. But that's all for now. All right. Talk to you soon.